people. And with that, I'm going to turn this over to Liz to introduce today's workshop.
We're going to use microphones because this is being live streamed on our ATG YouTube. So they think they want to hear me. So is it on?
Yes.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. I'm Liz Finch.
Liz, take a step to your left. You need a camera? Center stage, Liz.
Behind the chairs. Go between the chairs.
There you go.
I see it. Okay. Okay, so good morning. I'm Liz Finch. I'm the ATG treasurer, and I also have served as a delegate for ATG at the Summer Congress meeting and competition of the CIA, which you've all read about and heard about, and Michael and Mirco are going to explain a little bit about that to you this morning. So we're really lucky to have Mirco with us. As Marianne said, you know, our international presence this time is really great. And so I met Mirco years ago because I have gone, as I said, as a delegate for ATG at some of the Coupe Mondiale events. And he's always been a great presence at the events as he was the head. You read about this in the program, that he was head of the music committee, and now he's been president of that organization for a while. But Mirco has been a wonderful president for the CIA because he has traveled everywhere. He goes to all the different countries and all the events and competitions and celebrations and festivals around the world, and represents the accordion and the accordion organizations and does so much for the accordion. And as you heard last night at the concert, he's a very, very fine performer. Yeah. So there's a little bit biographical information in your ATG program to read if you want to know more detail about him. And so now he and Michael are going to talk about things that are going on in the world, and they both have done. Michael too has done a lot of traveling and can tell you a lot of fun things and interesting things that we often don't know about here in this country. So, Mirco and Michael.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Liz. Thank you, Marianne, and good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Buongiorno. I decided that I will speak Italian and Michael will translate.
I'll translate to French.
Pourquoi pas?
Pourquoi pas? Allons-y. Yeah. Well, we have a lot of topics that we could talk about this morning. I think I have some questions prepared for Mirco that I believe almost everybody would be very interested in. But we will leave some time at the end for questions. I'm sure there will be many from the audience. So with 9 a.m. energy, you know, 9 a.m. in musician time is about 4:30 a.m. So with all of our energy, let's start. Mirco, I wanted to ask you perhaps first about the CIA as this international spy agency of which you are president. Would you like to explain some of the activities?
The CIA, the name of CIA is before that the American police became CIA. I mean, so they copied us. But you can imagine once me and Kimmo Mattila, I was not president, I was the chairman of music committee at that time. Me and Kimmo Mattila arrived in Pyongyang in North Korea and give this business card CIA. It was a very funny moment. But they invited us because they have very good school there. They have teachers and high-level students, so it was very interesting. But what is CIA? The Confédération Internationale des Accordéonistes. It's in French, the original name, even now practically the official language is English now. It started with the name of International Accordionist Association, but then changed in a confederation, and was away in 1935. You can imagine that years the accordion business, I can say, in the music, playing, teachers, schools, and accordion production was very, very big. Was after the First War, and then after also the Second, the accordion had the golden age, you call it here in America. No? But of course, no internet, no fax, very difficult to telephone, and many problems to get in contact, to make network and so. So the only possible times to meet was international events, and we are not many. There was already many years ago, there was nothing practically. So from there, the idea to create a kind of international network where at least once per year, or maybe twice per year, was possible to meet and to speak and to find common goals and common activities. Then the CIA started to organize the Coupe Mondiale. I have, and I'm sure Herbert has also, and we have in our archives the, not booklet, because it was just one paper with the list of competitors. I have one that Lech Puknowski gave me when there was Marcela Zola playing and Yvette Horner and somebody like this. And it was very interesting that these people was already playing the transcriptions from classical music, like Rossini or some sinfonia or transcription from opera or Paganini or things like this. And sometimes start to appear compositions of real composers, like, for example, Wörthner, or I can remember now, I go spot somewhere and I don't remember exactly the dates. And then this confederation starts to get more and more members. The American associations, I don't remember exactly in what year the ATG joined the CIA, or the AAA, both maybe at the same time, I don't remember exactly. But Italy was not a member for many years, because after the Second War, the CIA had very strong, there was one German accordion company who has a very strong influence in the CIA. And so the Italian accordion companies tried to push to create another confederation in concurrence of CIA, that was the CMA. And this was in 1950. All archives of CMA are lost. What is now CMA is just another thing, just started in France a few years ago, not very much. But the old CMA, they are not archives, but the story you can reconstruct in the old magazine Strumenti e Musica, that was published by Bio Boccosi, that was the same Secretary General of CMA. And all this story is in parts in the magazine Strumenti e Musica. That I am the publisher and the owner of this magazine, and I scanned all issues of this magazine. Is just in Italian, but I have, if somebody is interested, I have a PDF from 1947 till all the time, one per month, till all the publishing. And now it's an online magazine, so you can find all the story of CIA, the Congress, and the CMA, and all presidents and all activities. So now Italy entered in the CIA with my association in 2000. I'm terrible with dates. I remember only my birthday. Was in Macedonia. You remember?
Macedonia was 2008, the Winter Congress.
In the Winter Congress? No, was before 2007. Well, actually, first time that I started to work actively in the CIA as jury member and other things was in Alexandria when there was Coupe Mondiale in the USA.
2007.
2007. I arrived as tourist, but then when I arrived, immediately Amber and Harley started to make me work as speaker, then you remember, then I don't know, I did many things. And the next year I joined the CIA with our association that is called the Italian Accordion Culture. So now we have 47, I'm right, Herbert, members, and we have from...
Different kind of memberships.
Yes, but we have 45 members, because in some country we have a premier member, that means that is exclusive for a country. For example, Italy is a premier member, the Italian Accordion Culture. In Austria, the Austrian Accordion Association is Austria, I always forget exactly how to say. Each VO, yes, I remember. Harmonica Verband from Österreich. And also in Germany, we have a premier member. Means that there is only one association. In other countries, like Serbia and Russia, we have normal voting members that we can have up to 3. In fact, in Russia we have 3 voting members, and also in Serbia. In Lithuania we have 2. But there is one exception, that in one country we have a premier member but shared in 2 parts. And you know what is the exception? The USA, of course. It's an historical exception that in one country there are 2 associations sharing the exclusivity of... well, from our side, we see that they are very good friends, they agree in everything, and so from inside, I don't know exactly, but I think that is good relationship. So, what I wanted to do, also before that I became president, when I was just a normal member, is to attract countries that historically were never part of the CIA. The Brazil, for example, the Peru, now is coming with Chile, finally, in the next Coupe Mondiale. And what can I say? So many others. I tell the example of Brazil because it's exactly what I mean about network and what can do CIA. We had first time competitors from Brazil in China, in Shanghai.
2011.
Okay, bravo. And these people was like, shy birds that cannot understand what is happening because for them was everything new. And they were playing with accordion like this because they play standing. And when they sit, they don't change the straps. So the accordion is doing like this. And they play like this. No technique, no control of instrument, but passion and talent. Okay, I make short. After 2 times, somebody had Bruno Morris, some lesson with me. Then his student, that was already with the correct position, has been in Italy to study with Antonio Spaccartella for a couple of years. But at the end, now we had 3 times Brazilian winner of virtuoso categories, and we have there a new way to teach accordion. So, for Brazil to join CIA was the start to a new age. And this is something that is starting to happen also in Peru. Just short now, slow, because for the COVID they cannot travel and they had the problems with government and so. But I think that this is the most important thing of CIA. It's not the competition itself, the Coupe Mondiale. When you come in Coupe Mondiale, we took part, many times. Me in Trofeo Mondiale. But to win are many things that must go all straight without any problem. To me, happened once, but 3 other times I was in the level to win, but something went wrong. For example, once I took number 1 in the draw, and I played 7 in the morning. So, it was not the best. But in that moment, in that years, I met so many people, so many friends. For example, I met Mornay, who doesn't remember that I had a lesson with him. I met Lips, that he doesn't remember exactly that I had a lesson with him. But also their students that gave me advices. I met, I don't know, for example, Ladislav Horak, that was like me, my friend, and now he's the director of Prague Conservatory. Marian Krajina, the same in Zagreb, and I can't say how many more. All important accordionists started in the international meetings and competitions and festivals, and connected with important people that will be important in the future. Many disappeared, but many raised up in important positions. So this is, in my opinion, the most important role of CIA, of the Confederation. And this is what I'm trying to do.
It's definitely the same for me. I can say it's exactly the same when the coup came to the US in 2007. I had only played piano, accordion, stradella bass, had not thought of playing free bass, went and watched those competitions, thought, oh, I really want to do that, and also maybe switched to chromatic at the same time, because why not? And there were some people, many people who helped me with that transition, including Joanne Summers, who's here, who sent me envelopes this thick of free bass music that I didn't know how to find, because you know, in North America, growing up here is quite a lonely existence.
Yeah.
It's probably the same for the people in Brazil that you mentioned.
Yeah.
That it's sort of a national, but not beyond. And I think the CIA and these meetings have this very important function. How is it now with the development of the actual present day, with the competition and with the event, and like with the role of young accordionists that you're seeing? How are you seeing changes in, for example, how people are playing, or in the new categories that you are introducing? What's the direction of the competition?
Yes, this is very dependent of the countries where they are from. For example, we were speaking about Brazil, and I know very well the situation there because I go often and I speak very well Portuguese. The problem, one of the problems of Brazil is similar of the problem that there is now in the USA. But I start from beginning. In Brazil, there is a very big respect and passion for live music, for the music. The musician in Brazil is considered, wow, you're a musician. And so there are a lot of young children that practically all, when their children play music, try to play music without any teacher, just start. They start for passion. And many are doing with accordion. That's why in Brazil there are many shops that can repair any kind of 500 years, I don't know, but 100-year accordion, and put in conditions to play. They play. The problem is that the level of teaching is very low. When I speak about level of teaching, it's not just about music and technique, but about the right way to practice and the right way to have the instrument, to put the instruments in the legs. Even children, they start to play standing. It's completely crazy. And this is the reason why many, after a few months, 1 year, they stop, because they work very much, uncomfortable, and they have problems with back, and they don't learn, because of course, you know, without a right guide about when you are very young, it's very difficult to get some development and so. So this is the first problem. But as I said, there are a few teachers that now are working very well. The problem is that when a boy or a girl arrive at 18, 19, has to decide what they can do. First point, I go to study music abroad, because in Brazil they have not an official degree in university or conservatory like we call in Italy. And the most part, they choose to change their way. They go to study engineering, for example, or economy, or I don't know, agriculture or something else, and they leave music. But in Brazil, there are not official degree in any instrument, not just accordion. They have in university, the faculty, they have music in general, but everybody can choose his instrument. It's something different. We have also in Italy, but it's not the study of the instrument and to have at the end a degree that allow you to build up your career as teacher or as performer or what else, or to go in, for example, abroad to get a master because you have not the basic diploma, the basic degree. And I think that also here in USA there is a similar situation. I mean, I don't know why I'm very angry with Joanna that decided to retire because she's still young and she should work 10 years more. But anyway, also here, one young person that arrived to the moment to choose his university, if there is not accordion, do something else. This is one of the problems. In Europe, the situation is different. In Italy, for example, now I feel is very good situation because we have over 40 different conservatories. In Italy, conservatory is the university, is the higher level of music courses, music studying. No, I tell you because in some countries different. For example, in Lithuania, conservatory is the lyceum, then there is university that they call academy. By the way, in Italy we have so many good teachers that they are themselves also performers, so they give good, very good training to the students. Now, various of them is fading very much with the others, but what we can do? This is also in the piano world, and in violin is the same, so it's a competition. So in Italy, the level of playing, the average is growing quite much, and in many other countries is the same. Then, of course, the talent can appear everywhere. We have not since a long time. I don't remember good players from the UK, for example. I mean, a very high level. But we had James Crabb in Scotland. That was fantastic. And now he lives in Australia. But he was something really. He is something really great. So that the talent can appear everywhere. And, but if you think about forget now the actual situation. But if you think about Russia and Ukraine, the level of teaching accordion in classic is very, very high. Yes, of course, these people, when they try to play samba or bossa nova or tango, they play in a Zubisky style or something like this, and it's not very good. But they can have lessons and they can start to play with different teachers in some other country and to develop themselves. So it's so I repeat, it depends very much of the country where they are coming from.
Yes. Why don't we change? I'm sure we'll come back to this, but to change gears just for a moment, and let's talk about accordion manufacturing.
Yes.
Because Mirco, of course, is not only president of CIA and has many activities with that, but he's president of Scandelli Accordion Company, which is one of the oldest in Castelfidardo, I believe, more than 100 years now.
Yes, 122, because it was in 1900 when it started, but it was not there.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, you're not only involved with Scandelli, but I think you have a very good perspective of accordion manufacturing in general. The new trends we now have, you know, most of the major companies are now producing what I will call, like they call it sometimes, a bayan instrument, where or they call it the concert accordion, where it has approximately the same specifications, certain freebass, chin switches. We're slowly getting a little bit more towards standardization, which has been a hot topic for many decades. There have been meetings about that back in Poland in the 1990s, trying to get more towards accordion standardization, because if you have so many different systems and every instrument is different, it's very hard to make a teaching method that is at all consistent. But we still have at least 4 or 5 different standard types of accordions that are made now. So let's talk about that just a little bit now. Are we making some progress?
Yes, I don't think so. We are, because first, there are so many different systems and also features. For example, I give you an idea that everybody can understand. The piano accordion, 37 keys on the right side. Okay, seems to be very easy, no? But it's not. Because, for example, in Germany, they want these instruments with the lowest note Fa, F. In UK, they always wanted with the first note G, and you have two more notes in the higher. Now, seems to be stupid, but of course, all the teachers, all style teachers, maybe, they have the methods, exercises, fingering arrangements that take under consideration that range of instrument, and it's not easy to change at all. But for the production, when we start to cut the wood and to prepare the right-hand keyboard, there is nothing yet, only wood. We have to decide if it's starting from Fa or from G. So when it started, is Fa, until 6 months after, when you have the accordion. You cannot simply, I want this accordion but from G. If we have not in the production, you could wait 1 year before that we make some instrument like this. So it's not just the problem of free bass that we have C riff, big riff, Russian system, quint system, Belgium system, Finnish system, and in the right side the same, big riff, C riff, Finnish, and piano accordion. Finnish is another example of a little crazy situation. The Finnish system, in the right side, you know the C riff accordion is playing in this direction. The Do, I call it Do, C of course, is in the first row. In the Finnish accordion, Do is in the third row, but it's not playing like the Russian system but in the same direction than a C riff, but starting from, so in the first row there is Do diesis, cis, not D, exactly. Do diesis, C,
yes,
because it's, yes, Do diesis, Do.
You know,
but every Finnish player can take a C riff accordion, move hand, and play normal repertoire, not difficult pieces, but can play without any problem. And same thing in the left, because the free bass system of Finland is Do is in the second row. Nobody knows exactly how it started this, but the association, the Finnish association, Kimmo Mattila, told me that many times he tried, let's go to the C riff. Do, you have not to learn to play C riff, but with the children, start with C riff. And why? You imagine in Finland how many accordions there are around, used second-hand accordion, and these instruments cannot go out from Finland. They cannot sell to somebody else. So the result is that Finland now is full of instruments and nobody is interested to buy new instruments. Because these instruments, small and big, are there and cannot go out. It's not possible to, well, it's possible to transform, but it's very expensive to transform in the C riff. So we have still so many systems, and I don't see that there is a direction. The only thing that happened is that with the influence of Russian music and composers, this instrument with the 64 notes starting from Mi, and also in the left starting from Mi, 58 notes, and the size of instrument became almost a standard. Almost, because in Finland it's not starting from Mi but from Fa, and there's one note more, G diesis, almost standard. But this is almost standard. But one thing I want to say is that this word bayan is not indicating, for us, is indicating a kind of instrument for concert.
yes.
In Castelfidardo they call bayan also my accordion, that is piano accordion. But in Russia they call bayan any kind of button accordion with at least 3 rows, 3, 4, 5 rows. This is bayan. C grave, B grave, free bass, not free bass, it doesn't matter. It's bayan. And the piano they call accordion. So this is the difference. But internationally it's just accordion. As in Italian we call fisarmonica, and that's all. If you have not 3 rows but 2, in Russia they call garmon. But garmoshka they call all accordions. Like in Castelfidardo they call organetto all instruments.
I hope you're all taking good notes. There's a lot of names. I want to make us feel maybe slightly better, maybe make you feel slightly better for a second, because it is very confusing. But if we look at other instruments, for example, I have a duo with a clarinetist, and if we want to play any piece of music, we go online, we find the score, and we put it in front of us, and we can't play it, because his instrument is in B flat, and it's not a concert instrument. And there's B flat clarinet, there's A clarinet, there's E flat soprano clarinet, and there is such a thing as a C clarinet, but they haven't figured out how to make it sound good yet. C clarinet just is not a very good instrument. So, but all this could be solved if we just said, okay, we keep the B flat clarinet and we rename the notes according to how it actually would sound in concert pitch. But in order to accomplish this, and people have wanted to do this for 100 years now, because it would mean it's just so much easier, but there's a historical tradition, there are teachers that know the system that they grew up with, and they don't want to have to relearn everything, and we would have to set a date, from 2024 onwards, the whole world is in concert pitch. It would be like herding cats. Can you imagine how difficult this would be?
You know how many saxophones as a saxophone player?
Yeah.
Or flute players, or a contrabass player. You know that the contrabass in orchestra is different than the solo contrabass, and the same person plays both. So it's but we have not to be this. Normally, I say that this big variety of accordion possibilities, models, and systems and quality is the lack of accordion producers. Because if there was one model of accordion that was 90% of production, for sure some company like Yamaha or Chinese production could make something very big, and then you have only one accordion, but a low quality and made from the same company.
That's a very interesting point.
Yeah.
Maybe the diversity is what keeps accordion a very interesting instrument. How about the actual process of making them now? There have been pushes and many innovations, I'm sure you know, about making the reeds so that they respond faster, so that they play louder, there's a deeper tone. I think one of the biggest things that people wonder about, particularly when getting older, is the weight. And I believe it has been done now. We actually do have carbon fiber accordions for the first time in the last couple of years, but I think that a lot more work would be needed. What about reducing the weight of instruments?
Well, when I was 18, I was playing an instrument that was almost 18 kilos. And now I play 15 kilos, so it's, I'm already happy. But the problem, yes, we are facing always this challenge because of course, I am a musician. I would be happy if we can make an instrument 5 kilo less, but if I don't do for me, it means that there is not yet a way to have. I mean, it's possible, but then the sound is not anymore the same. First point is that you cannot reduce the wood that is inside the accordion, because the sound then is not anymore the same. There are technologies today that allow to do things very, very good, but these technologies are not yet affordable for accordions. The accordion business. I mean, for example, we have in the company a laser machine to cut the wood to be more fast and precise in the cuts, but this is not reducing weight. It's just making a little better precise the cut and to avoid to throw out a lot of wood and so. They are machines that can make the work that normally you do by hands. Many of these works we prepare to do by hands, but this is a choice. But it's not changing what is the instrument at the end that you can appreciate as performer. But for example, you know how is made a reed. There is the plate in aluminium, and then this is very easy to produce also with a machine, with electro-erosion, it's called, I don't know exactly in English. But the problem is the reed. The reed starts from a stripe like this of steel, and if somebody makes by hand, should be cut, and then with a set of files, make the shape. Now, the main problem of these reeds, when you play register master, tutti as you call, and you play chord 4 notes, you have 16 reeds playing together. These 16 reeds should start from pianissimo all together, but they are all different size and different frequency. So how to do this? Now depends of the experience of the person who is making the shape of the reed and mounting, and then the tuning man, the tuner, that is adjusting and tuning the instrument. Is it possible to make with a machine this work? Should make with a 3D scanner every reed design. Then using, there is a special kind of laser that is not cooking, not making too hot the steel, because if you make too hot the steel, then it's not, then I will tell you something about how they do in China. And you should make the reed, but in an accordion like mine, there are something like 500 reeds, 500 double reeds, but okay, 2 are the same, it's not... To make a machine and the process and the experiments that implement this kind of laser and to prepare a machine that can make the final work is an investment of many $1 million. And of course, you cannot get back this investment in accordion business, so it's not yet possible. About the weight, for example, one very simple thing, the grill of accordion. The grill is made in aluminium and is covered by celluloid or painted. If you make too thin, there are some model about my friend, another producer, that made very thin for the weight. But these instruments, every boy, every man that you can see running around, this is, because if you touch, is already ruined. And so we make a little more hard, but it's heavier. Could be possible to make it in any other kind of material, because this is not important for the resonance. It's just, we could make it carbonium, for example, in carbon fiber or something like this. But how? If you make with a normal process to make this, the carbon fiber, you must make a mold. But then this mold is only for that model. So you have to make one for each model, each size, and it's practically, again, an investment that has no sense. Today, there is a technology that could allow to make this with a machine that is a 3D printer. There is one, well, till a few weeks ago, I would say it's not possible because the limit of these 3D printers was the size of the object that they can make. That was not enough big to make a grill for an accordion. But now there is, I don't know yet how much is the price of this machine, but one company from the USA called Mark Forget, that is fantastic. They have a lot of innovation. They make also machines who print some kind of metal. With these machines, I think that in the future, in the near future, will be possible to reduce the weight of the parts for the moment of a non-metal and not wood. The wood you cannot touch. But many parts in metal could be made in another material and printed with this 3D machine. We will see. If it's a machine that costs $100,000 or $200,000, it's affordable, it's possible. But if it's $5 million, it's no sense for an accordion business. So this is the real problem. But in future, of course, it will happen that if you want to change one piece in your accordion, you buy the 3D printer and you make it and you change. Like the printers for the papers.
One area that is very important and of great concern to me, and I know you and many of us, is getting our accordions serviced. In North America, we have very few, there are people, but we have very few workshops and places like that, and they're very far apart, and they're quite busy, which is good. And I just had a conversation 2 nights ago with a young woman who, she said the words to me, I might be interested in learning how to do some accordion repairs. And I kind of pounced on her. I felt bad after, but because you know, we really need that, and I think any young person who went in there would have a continuous supply of work for the rest of their life. Maybe too much work, and maybe too many people saying, well, we have a very, very old accordion that's been in the attic for 70 years, outside in winter time. Can you fix it? Nobody's going to play it, but it would mean a lot to our family if somebody could fix it up so that it would be playable. And I think this is a waste of time. We shouldn't do that for instruments that aren't going to be actively played. But my question to you is, if I'm a young person and I want to learn how to repair accordions, are there internships in Castelfidardo? Are there other places that you can suggest? Anybody addressing this?
No, there are not, unfortunately not. In some company like us, and also PG is doing, we sometimes take some people that wants to learn to do these works, because for us it's very important that to have, for example, now there is a very, very big problem in China. In China there is no one, maybe only one person that can really do service on professional instruments. The main problem is also that to do service on accordion, you should learn to tune first, to change a reed, but also to repair something about wood, mechanics. I mean, there are so many details. To have somebody with enough experience to do complete service on an accordion is very difficult and a very long process. In the USA, you have somebody. I mean, there is the Pedosa organization. Is there? He's here, Joel? No, it's not here.
He's here at the festival, though.
Okay, but anyway, they are able to give very good service. Also, Liberty Bellows in Philadelphia is giving a good service, but in the past there were many more, of course. But this depends also of the market, no? But for example, in Brazil, there are so many that they can do everything. From a dead accordion, they can make an instrument in some way. And the problem is also that if you want to give a very good service, this is another point that I told many times to my friends, the Italian conservatory teachers. You should add one course, one exam, where the student learn how the accordion works and how to do the basic, not repairs, but the basic service. If you have one bass stuck inside, if you know how to do, it's very easy to fix. And also if you have one reed blocked, if you know how to do, it's very easy to take. I mean, these are things, and to give to the students exactly the perception how much time need to tune an accordion or to do the service. Because, I have to tune the accordion, how much? $500. What? I don't want a new accordion.
Or 2,000.
Yes, of course, because it depends on how much time you need to do this, but the people normally don't realize this. to tune accordion, maybe $100. And, so,
Yeah. Helmi, are you still running the accordion service seminars?
You betcha I am, and thank you for mentioning it.
Good. So that's another place. That would be
where? In which city?
nearby in Superior, Wisconsin. So
Okay.
that's a 7-hour drive from here.
Okay, I need to take a note. It's very important. When there is some good service point, it's very important for the
It
musicians.
keeps the museum alive. The repairs pay the way.
That's
Okay, now I understand. Kevin told me something about yes.
But Helmi also does, she is one of the few people that does teach repairs. I've been there during her seminar, so shout out if anybody, because we're close, you could drive there and take her course whenever it's next offered, so that would probably be a very good thing to do. Other than that, for something like super in-depth, like a month or longer, maybe this is something that we can get eventually going in Europe. I think we're in desperate need.
By the way, in Castelfidardo, since a long time, people is speaking about to organize together with the companies, but the producers, but with the support of the region market, to organize something to help who wants to learn to give service. We didn't get yet because, in Italy every 4 or less years is changing the administration, changing the local governments, changing the mayor of the city. Yesterday we lost also Draghi, the government is out, now we will have new elections in September, so it's never easy. But now we have, since a couple of years, we have again, because in the past happened a few times, an association of accordion producers, accordion and suppliers of accordion factories. It's called the AMMA. And this association did already something important. For example, 2 years ago we donated 26 accordions, also free-bass accordions, in the local music schools, not accordion schools, but music schools, because we give to the students the possibility to play the accordion, not just the flute or the piano and so on. And I feel that one of the teachers is very good because he likes very much to work with children. And so we feel that is growing the number of people that is interested to play accordion. So this association is now trying to push for new goals. But we are maybe 60 members, and everyone with his mind, his idea. And so I'm more a musician. Somebody speaks only, we should do an investment to make the bellows better, and or something like this. And
For inflatable accordions. So they're very light. We have about 10 or so minutes left before 10 o'clock, and I'd like to open it up for questions from the audience. I'm sure there are many. Okay, I had a segue, but there are questions already. How about Elena? Please go ahead.
Mirco, please. Probably it's not exactly to you question, but I really need the help. I run in my school. I have more than about 40 students. 30 of them accordion and button accordion students. Majority button. I live in Dallas, Texas. More and more students interested in a button system over there, and I don't have any tools to like any companies that produce button accordion system. Who should I go? Who should I talk? I want like any company. How should I make company interested to produce button accordion? Yes, you can buy big accordion for professional, like you produce, I know. But for students, like starts at cost, it will be like 1,000, 2,000 the most. For example, I very like Petting Zoo. I really on ATG first time. It's wonderful, wonderful program. I wish it expanded, but I want to see their small button chromatic accordion. How should I do that?
But first, there are various accordion companies in Italy that produce small button accordions. For example, in our case, in Scandali, in the free bass, we have also small instruments. In the standard bass, we start from 4 reeds, but it's our choice. But there are other companies that produce also small instruments. The problem is the price, because the instruments made in Italy, a small instrument is made in the same way than a big instrument. Of course, reeds are made by some machine. But the part in woods, the work to make the box, the bellows, the keyboard, the mechanics, the tuning is the same job. For example, an accordion, small instrument with a converter, the mechanics is like the same price that in my accordion, because they have to do the same work. The only way to have more cheap instruments is to see the Chinese market. But of course, then the sound and the work, the instrument is completely different. In Italy, mainly we produce accordions handmade, or almost handmade. So, in a company like mine, but like Pagini, like Bulgaria, every of the real companies producing accordions, you have around 25, 28 euro or dollars, now it's the same, dollar and euro, and per hour. So 1 hour is, let's say, $28. If you to make the box of an accordion, you need 15 hours. You can calculate how much is the cost. We have no chance. There is no way to make industrial production. And I repeat, from the side of Italian producers, it's luck, because if there was a way to make industrialization of production of accordion, immediately will arrive Yamaha to make it. You know that Yamaha produce practically all instruments in the classic range, piano, but also harp, also clarinet, bassoon, everything, strings, everything except accordion. Because it's too complicated to make an instrument for a mass market.
Maybe digital accordion is slightly cheaper. I don't know what a 1X
The
costs.
problem, this problem, the digital accordion,
Just to learn though.
I worked in the digital field for many years. I was the music manager of Farfisa, one of the biggest companies that was big like Roland in the past. And I made many projects about digital accordions, virtual accordions, many years before then Roland started to do this work. The problem is that doesn't matter how you do this instrument, will cost more than a standard good accordion. You have no chance to have a digital accordion of 500 euro or $500 for the consumer. It's always going around 3,000 or more, 5,000. But why you should you buy 5,000 euro digital accordion if you have already a good accordion and you want to make a present to yourself? But it's not something that you buy because it's cheaper and then in the future you think like you buy a keyboard and then in the future you buy grand piano. It's the contrary. You don't buy grand piano and then in the future you buy a digital. You can have both, of course. But the real revolution of digital accordion would be if the price is 500 or 600 or $800 for the consumer.
I hope that will be able to happen, but we're not at that place yet. Marianne?
So, I might suggest that the problem is not cheapening the instrument so that you can give it to these students. I think it is building an understanding of the value of the instrument that they would be buying. And one thing that could be helpful, I've got lots of ideas in my head, we'll see what comes in the next couple of years, but one thing would be if we had instruments to work with for these young children, that you can't ask them to spend that kind of money when they're not yet invested. But if you have instruments, and this is something I intend to talk to all of the manufacturers about, if we had something that we could give the students to use for some period of time, and perhaps there's some reasonable rental, I don't know, I don't have all that thought out in my head. So give them the instruments, put them in a group, and they will learn just as everybody has, the community that's formed, the joy they get from it, and that will last for their life. Then they're gonna look at that purchase in a different way. When I worked for Steinway, there was nothing about diminishing the instrument at all. It was about making them understand what you're getting, you know, and there's no question in my mind that the tool that you have to work with is going to change the job that you have to do. The better the tool, the better you're able to do your job, and there's no question. So Elena, I think it's a change in the thought process. We don't need a cheaper instrument. We need a way to get the instrument to the people, and then they make them understand and grow and come up in the industry. And it's not about the industry, it's about bringing joy to people. I mean, that's really what it's about, and forming, you know, these groups. People have fun in groups. So, I mean, you saw it with my group, they're all here.
Yeah.
And that's adults, and it's wonderful, you know, but we need to do that, you know, at a level of children. So I think it's a change in the thought process.
This idea of maybe even like an instrument bank is something that is on the table and has been talked about a little bit. I don't want to speak ahead, but
I can say that in some country, like in China, for example, but also in now they are trying to do in Peru and but in Russia, in the countries like in East Europe, there are plants where there is a public money that is dedicated to these things, to buy instruments for schools, and these instruments are given to students for 6 months, for 1 year, until they start to learn, but sometimes also for years. For example, in Lithuania, they have in the academy in Kaunas, where there was Kazis Stonkus, you know, and now there is Povilas, the main teacher. They have 2-3 concert instruments that they give to one student, and he can play for 1-2 years if he cannot afford to buy his instrument. And of course, this is not cost for the families, but it's something that is, but depends on the plans and the programs of the actual Mr. Biden organization. I mean, there are countries that spend a lot of, dedicate a lot of funds to the culture, and so also to buy the instruments for the schools, and in Russia there are many, really many, I can say. And but also the same also in Ukraine. Now, of course, it's stopped for the moment. We'll see what will happen. But also in Iraq, I mean, all these East countries in Europe, they have in mind that the public administration should support the arts and the music in particular with tenders that the schools can have support to buy a certain number of instruments, and not just accordions, all kinds of instruments, of course. Usually it's the piano. Yes. Yes.
The Finnish magazine, if any of you ever have a chance to even look at one, there are hundreds of young children playing these little tiny instruments. And I don't know what the cost of those instruments in comparison to what we have to pay for a small instrument. I don't know what that is. Maybe they're very expensive. Maybe they have some help from their government, for their teachers to have instruments for young kids. But I see little 5-year-old children playing a little button accordion, and they're different colors, all kinds of things that really appeal. Somebody mentioned a Chinese instrument. Believe me, you don't even want one as a gift. I'm sorry to say that, but it's true. Even if you teach a young student on a poor instrument that has bad sound and compression that is just nothing, it's a terrible thing. to put a young person through, or anybody. The Chinese have fantastic musicians today on the accordion. Many of them.
By playing Italian accordions.
Yeah, but they don't play Chinese accordions.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah,
And I'm not putting that down. And my thought was, again, though, about what you see in Finland. And I don't see a magazine from Italy. I don't see a magazine from Germany at the moment and everything. But I do see the Finnish magazine, and it is fantastic what they're doing with young children.
No, there are magazines. They are still in Germany. There is one. In Italy, we don't print anymore for the problem of post service, but we have online. But there is also for example, in Sweden and so. But in Finland, there is a special situation. This magazine is printed, distributed by the Finnish Accordion Association, and they have, I think, over 4,000 members. And when they pay the membership fee, is included the 4, I think they have, or 6, I don't remember, numbers for a year that will be sent to at home to everybody. So it's a package, but we have to say that the president, Kimmo Mattila, that created from zero this situation has been fantastic.
Yeah.
He did big work. And Kimmo Mattila is the CIA Secretary General since many years, and I hope for many years more.
I know we're getting, in fact, we passed 10, and I know people have things that they have to do. We would love to continue all of these conversations. Perhaps if you have to go, that's okay. Maybe we can take, I think Herbert has a contribution he'd like to make here.
Just a short point. As accordionists, we have to grow with our instrument. It means if we start as a kid and a youngster, and for the concert instrument, it means during your education you would need maybe 3 instruments, and this is very large cost for the people, for the parents, and this is also one aspect you have to keep in mind. We are not happy with just one instrument, because the instrument has to grow as our body grows.
Absolutely. I started with kids 7 years old. He cannot buy full range, even for families that no problem with the money. He needs something small, and then he grows and different instruments.
Okay, this is this point, and another point is, if I remember, Professor Buchnowski in Poland, in the political system, it was normal that the best players had the best instruments, but of course it was not possible for them to finance themselves. So they got it from the state. Buchnowski told, okay, you can represent our country, you need this kind of instrument, and you will get it from the state. So I think this is also necessary.
So
last point, we have an accordion magazine in Austria also.
So I'll say it here, and I'll say it now. It's an early idea. If anybody wants to help out with an ATG instrument bank, it's a thought that has occurred, either administering it, donating instruments, funding instruments that could be used by students. We want to help address this problem. We want to also raise the awareness towards fine handmade instruments. We want to help people to get those. I think it's a time for us to share and be generous with information, contacts, music, all of that, to help each other. We have lots of space for all of the accordionists in this big world. So with that, I would like to really thank one of the most informed people in the entire accordion world for sharing his generosity, information, and fine musicianship last night. Real big round of applause, please, for Mirco Patarini. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And a very quick reminder to everybody, the concert tonight is not at the place where the concert last night was. It's at Armending, I'll get it right by tonight, Art Center. It's about maybe 500 meters away as part of the same college, but it's not the same place. So thank you so much, Mirco.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, everybody.